So welcome to Sports Extra, another wonderful episode. It's been a while, but of course I'm sitting in enemy territory. It's all Liverpool nonsense. But in any case, look, they are flying high, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But we've also got quite a bit to talk about. The Simba Bora, literally one match away from winning their maiden Castle Lager Premier Soccer League title. Scotland FC might actually be making their way into the Premier Soccer League, and we'll be explaining exactly why. In rugby, well, two sides have been named, both the Sables as well as the Lady Cheetahs. They've got assignments. One of them is actually happening tonight. That is for the Sables. And then, of course, we're also going to be talking about the big news breaking out for women's cricket. Zimbabwe has been included in the ICC Women's Championship for the cycle of 2025 to 2029. We're going to be looking at the dynamics involved in there, what needs to be done by Zimbabwe cricket for us to be competitive. And then, of course, finally, we're going to be taking a European League roundup to see what happened in football and exactly why Liverpool seems to be in a farmers league in Premier League at the present moment. But all this and so much more right here on Sports Extra. Don't forget to like, to share, to comment, and to subscribe on all of our social media platforms. See you. All right, gentlemen. Now, of course, by way of introduction, these are no strangers to the Sports Extra platform. I'll start off with Brian Matamba here, who is donning the Zimbabwean cricket shirt and just trying to show us he's more patriotic than us. But in any case, welcome back, Brian.
Thank you for having me, Rainbow.
All right, and of course, we've got Sydney Sound, who is also not a stranger to Sports Extra. So, Sid, welcome once again.
So delighted to be here.
All right, so let's go quickly into it, gentlemen. Starting off with our football, Simba Bora, Tondera Indiraya, Mkomana Batabasa, and go Buju go. That's what we see on their Facebook. It's crazy, but Simba Bora have done the business, Brian, and now one game against Arno Movers, and they're in.
Definitely, they're not going to lose this title. They only need 1 point. But kudos to Simba Bora. They've shown what investment does. When you invest into quality players, it will eventually pay off. And Tundra Indira has finally gotten the monkey off his back. He's finally ending a title.
All right, one of the other things, though, Sydney, is the fact that Simba Bora have built this title challenge on the back of home form, which has been phenomenal for them. I think they've gone close to 15 games undefeated, whether it was a draw or a win on home turf.
Look, it's at your fortress, so you shouldn't be losing. So I think that's what they've mastered in this season, that is Simba Bora. And we all talk about the players, but we also need to give credit to Tondera Indiraya. I mean, he has been fired by one other one was Dynamos, arguably the biggest club in our country, and the second was Ngezi Platinum. But now he's shown what he's made of. I mean, he's someone that has been in the fold, especially at the international level for our Zimbabwe Warriors, and now he's proving himself to be a top quality coach. And now, with the German coming in to coach the national team, we should also include him because of what he's done with a small club, a minnow club like Simba Bora. I mean, he's transformed, and he now is eyeing the Premier League title. So kudos to him.
Yeah, no, well done to him. Were Dynamos and Ngezi Platinum impatient, however, Brian?
I think they're a bit impatient, especially with Dynamos. You don't invest so much, but you expect miracles from Dirai. I like from Ngezi, the funding was there. The board did back him, but probably they thought the money they gave him, they wanted immediate results. So probably they were also impatient, but they eventually won the league when he left. So I would say Ngezi are partly vindicated because they won the league when he left. But with Dynamos, I just think they're impatient. And you know, coaching Dynamos is not easy.
Yeah, I think Murabe has clearly shown that, particularly on the interview that he had as well on social media, talking about it, and even Lloyd Mablanyo. I mean, who gave him that nickname? Who gave him Mablanyo? Guys, do you know who's Mablanyo? Uri Blanyo. But anyway, he also spoke about how difficult it is to be coaching in that Dynamo's setup. But let's talk about the prospects. Simba Bora coming into the Premier Soccer League is fast turning into more like what we see in the Premier League, individually owned teams that are backed with big money and ultimately going forward. So, I mean, let's count them. At the moment, we've got the likes of Caps United, they're individually owned. We've got the likes of, Simba Bora, they're individually owned. We've got others that will be coming from various regions as well that are individually owned, that will be coming in and plugging in into this. What perspectives or what perspectives can we take from Zimbabwean football, seeing how successful it has been for individually owned teams?
I think the individually owned teams, they are well run, considering that there aren't power struggles in the boardroom. There is one center of power, that is whoever owns the team. I think that also
that's the reason why there's no power struggle.
There's no power struggle, and there aren't factions. That so and so owns this team, and what he wants is not just there to to play politics. Is there for his team to do well. So that also helps the club. Unlike, there are some boardroom squabbles at Dynamos. We all know that. And, that affects also the players when it comes to their performance on the field of play. So I think that we really need to start awarding. I mean, ZIFA and PSL, they should now start awarding, slots for individuals, so for individuals to own teams, because we've seen that not just in the Premier League but also in the Division 1.
Yeah, most definitely. So Dynamos, Islanders, Caps United, Marinzo, in the community. But I think maybe for Islanders, they can still stick to their community because their community has bailed them out on a number of times when
it's very united.
It's very united when fines have been laid upon the club. Even fans have come through and paid off those fines to ensure that the club continues to play along. So that is what's happening with the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. But let's quickly go over to Northern Region Soccer League football. 3 points awarded to Scotland over that abandoned game at Karoyi United. So, Anzi, atite zvekutamba tinoita zvekupwanya pwanya, and so of course the Scotland FC effectively are going to be in the Premier Soccer League next year, because right now they are now leading by 2 points. One more game that's left. Even if Moors is to win by 25 goals to nil, all Moors has to do is to avoid defeat by ensuring, in fact they just have to win, because if they draw then maybe goal difference might become a challenge. But all they have to do right now is just win.
Yeah, I mean, look, like what we've been talking about this, these individually owned teams, they don't know, they waste no time. I think Scotland, credit to them, you were not happy with the way that, they were playing, but at the end of the day, it's all about winning, taking the maximum points, and now we're also looking forward to see them, how they're going to perform in the Premier League come next season. But at the end of the day, I believe that they are going to become, a team, a force to reckon with, considering that, money is there. So with money, you understand. We never know. The PSL player of the year, he might move to Scotland FC. You never know what's going to happen.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, Brian. Before we quickly move away from this one, let's come back to the admin side, whether it's Northern Region Soccer League, Premier Soccer League, the decision making around awarding of 3 points, whether it was a violence interrupted game, whether it was players who walked off the pitch, has been quite appalling for the last 2 seasons. Northern Region, I believe it was the Eastern Region, where we had the Bikita Minerals, Tenax FC issue.
It was last season.
As to who was going to be promoted over a particular game that was supposed to be awarded 3 points. It took almost 4 months to make that decision. And similarly, almost similarly so, for this particular one, it took almost 2 months.
2 months?
To decide on this one. Quite appalling.
It's quite appalling, and it raises a lot of red flags on how we're administering as the game, especially when it comes to Division 1 football. Because such decisions should not take more than a week to make. Within a week you should be. But it seems now. So now when the decision is made, we don't even know, was it really genuine or it was influenced, or there was some hidden hand now.
Oh,
It becomes sketchy.
And look, the decision was quite clear, even when that game was abandoned on the day, that Karoy United was the one which was ultimately guilty of ensuring that that game was abandoned. So Scotland, yes, deserved the 3 points, but we need to make decisions on time to avert these doubts that Brian is talking about.
Look, what we just need to do is to try to copy from what these big Premier Leagues, how they conduct their businesses. Understand that if it's in the English Premier League, a fine, and obviously the points will be deducted. So I think that should be a no-brainer when it comes to these things. They should be just be a template for that. However, to us, there's so much consultation, there's so much bureaucracy that comes with it. But that should be a no-brainer. We should just have a template. If you abandon a game, you'll be fined, and 3 points will be awarded to such and such a team,
and we move along.
And then we move along. And this thing of us taking 4 months to make just a simple decision, I mean, it shows that we don't have a template and we don't have a structure when it comes to these things.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. But anyway, at the end of the day, Scotland FC will march on. Let's see kana vachapwanya kana vapinda Premier Soccer League, and let's see for Simba Bora how they will do on the continental level, because winning the league title comes with its demands, and the first demand is the CAF Champions League preliminary first round qualifier. Whoever they'll be facing, we'll wait to see when that is done, but ultimately that is what it is, and that is how the cookie crumbles in that regard. Now, gentlemen, let's quickly move along towards our rugby. Now, rugby obviously has got two major assignments. One of them is tonight. The other one is starting over this weekend. The first one, and let's quickly go on to it, that is the Sables. They are playing the UAE. The Sables are currently undefeated in the year 2024, went to the Rugby Africa Cup, conquered all, and now they'll be taking part in this end of year tour to continuously sharpen themselves, because 2025, that is the qualification one. That is the one that is going to take us to the 2027 Rugby World Cup if we're going to make it. Gentlemen, thoughts on the side? And I'll start with you, Brian.
I think no major surprises. We can see Tidias Wata, affectionately known as Boxer, is back in the fold. He's playing 15. He's in for Mafura because Mafura's got a slight calf strain, so he's recovering. But no major surprises in the squad, and I'm actually happy to see that Munashe Mere, who's very young, former Saint Stithian boy, and he's played for the Pumas, he's played for Sharks under 21. To see him in the fold and making his debut at 22 is one to look for the future. But no major surprises. But when I look at the second row, I feel like we're a bit thin there, and it's a very worrying position going into next year's Africa Cup. We really need to reinforce there and get some second rows, either of Zimbabwean of origin, or because we've seen Kyle Goodwin and Ian Pryor, who've been based in Australia, coming back and coming to represent Zimbabwe. So maybe in the lock position in the second row, we might need that kind of like character. I'm sure Mike Williams, who's playing in Japan, has got some Zim roots. He was a CBC boy. Maybe he can come and slaughter there and help us in the second row. I know he's played for England, but he's been inactive for a while now.
All right, and now obviously the current two locks that are there for tonight, that's the likes of the experienced David Makamba, as well as Simbarashe Siraga, who has really blown up in terms of his play and has come to the party. Generally, how do you think they're going to fare tonight?
Well, look, David Makamba is experienced in that position. He's been in the Zimbabwe Sables for more than 6 years now, and obviously Sierra has got a few caps, with under him, because he's played during the Africa Cup. I mean, that alone, that should be able to carry us over the line. However, moving forward, a big assignment in 2025. We need big boys in those positions. I'm looking like what Brian said, the likes of Mike Williams, but also we've got a lad who's playing for the Lions. I believe his name is Linenberg. If we can be able to get those boys to just get us over the line, for us just to qualify, I'm sure that will be more than enough. But look, if we qualify, I'm sure that we're going to have plenty of options in that position, because who would want to play in the Rugby World Cup?
Oh yes, everybody definitely wants to play there. Let's quickly look at the back. At the line and looking at our center pairing, it worked wonders for us during
Yeah.
the Rugby Africa Cup. Hard tackling, hard running, good ball carrying, good understanding between the two. As well, that's the vice captain Kudzai Mashawi and Brendan Zekenedzi. Now with the inclusion of Carl Godwin, is now a hot plate, I would say, when it comes to that center pairing position. But ultimately, as Pete Bernardi, a good headache to have.
It's a good order to have. Look, Kudzai Mashawi, we know that he's hard tackling, he's hard running, but Kyle Godwin has got another, dimension to his game. He's someone who can put in a grab. I think we saw it when he was playing against the HPC under 20. He's someone who can identify space behind the defense and is able to put in that grabber. It's one dimension that we've been lacking in the Zimbabwe Sables setup. But now it's good to see that someone with a huge boot, someone like Ian Pryor, who's able to identify space like 30 meters, he can execute those 30, 40, 50-meter kicks, and someone like Ian Pryor who can be able to slot in those grabber kicks. I mean, I'm sure that's Gauke will be enjoying playing with those two gentlemen. But I'm happy with our backline. I mean, we've got more strengths and weaknesses.
Most definitely. So a lot to expect. They'll be playing their game against the UAE tonight. So please, obviously, follow the various links that are on the social media platforms, and let's get behind the Sables. Now, of course, our women are on assignment as well. A very strong lineup that was named yesterday, and also got quite a decent amount of experience, even though they're relatively young. But they're in a very tough group. They're in Pool A alongside South Africa, Tunisia, and Burkina Faso. South Africa and Tunisia, we've played them. We haven't had the best of success against both sides, even in more recent times. What would be the aim for a Cyprian Super Mandingi?
Look, like what you've mentioned, they do have a young squad. It's very important that we continue with this squad. Look, at this point, I think it's okay to lose. Okay, I'm pretty sure that at the back of Cyprian Mandenge said is looking to build a very strong squad, bigger player base. No, for now, let's just these players get more experience. Hopefully, that in the next tournaments we'll be able to win trophies and we'll be able to qualify. But I'm pretty sure that we can cause an upset to one of those teams that you have mentioned. South Africa, it's going to be tough, but with Tunisia, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to surprise them.
We should be able to surprise them. You had your concerns of against Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso, they're very athletic. So as much as they don't have a strong rugby history, naturally they're athletes as human beings. So that is going to be a very worrying side for the ladies. And also given that over the years we've been dropping off, like performance-wise, it's because we've been tending to carry the wrong players on tour, because the old coaches and the old setup would rather carry their bodies on tour rather than players that deserve to be in the setup. So now with Cyprian that he's rebuilding, I'm sure, like what Sini said, we should not expect too much, but it's a step in the right direction, because now we've got the right players and we're building a philosophy with players the right age and players who deserve to be there.
Yeah.
So if we give them 2-3 tournaments, I'm sure by the third tournament we should now be starting to get in results and expecting to win the Africa Cup or reaching, the semi-final or final. But here, this year, I don't think we'll cause much.
Oh well, we'll see what will happen. Hoping that the boys will be proven wrong. The girls make it all the way to the final, and we play in that final. Obviously, there are other teams that we need to watch out for. Uganda, who have been developing so quickly and so phenomenally in women's rugby. Kenya will also be there in with a big shout, because you know what? Whoever wins the Rugby Africa Cup effectively makes it into the HSBC Sevens circuit, and that is a position that I'm sure we have all wanted for our lady cheaters, even for our men's cheaters side. But anyway, that takes us to the break. Coming up after the break, we're going to be taking yet another wonderful development in women's sport here in Zimbabwe, because our Zimbabwe women's cricket team is part of the ICC Women's Championship. We'll see you on the other side. Right. And I gotta get in. All right, so welcome back to Sports Extra. Once again, we encourage you share, like, comment, subscribe. We're feeding off of your comments, and this is the content that we're bringing you. You can go onto Facebook and Instagram at Sports Extra Zim, and if it's on YouTube and on TikTok, it's at Sports Extra ZW, and you'll be able to find tons and tons of content that we've been able to produce, and some of the thoughts and the opinions of our analysts. Now, gentlemen, Zimbabwe women's cricket, a big step in the right direction. ICC has released the ICC Women's Championship cycle for 2025 to 2029. Zimbabwe has been included on the list. Obviously, every other team will be saying, "Ndio shiri yedu iyi, aibata, and 18 but we've got homebound tours. We've got South Africa coming. We've got West Indies coming. I believe we've got Sri Lanka coming as well. And then outbound, which is outbound tours where we'll be traveling to. We'll be going to India. We'll be going to Pakistan. We'll be going to New Zealand. All these are big sides that you want to play against, and ultimately that you want to be able to pick up some points, which will get you higher up in the rankings and get rid of this nonsense qualifying process. Guys, I hate qualifiers. Qualifiers are so unfair. But nonetheless, for Zimbabwe women's cricket, this is a fantastic thing here, Sydney.
Yes, an enormous step in the right direction, like what you've mentioned. However, because we've been awarded that slot, we need to stay there. You know, just remember that there are more than 20 countries that are playing this game, and they'll be eyeing for that slot. So what we just need to do is to focus more on our grassroots program. Make sure that it's vibrant. We have more young ladies coming through, you know, the ranks, you know, to be able, like what do you call it, a route to be able to play for the national team. So we just need to strengthen our grassroots program.
But has Zimbabwe not done that? I mean, we've got Zimbabwe cricket now getting the likes of Kelly Ndlovu. She's been introduced to the fold. She's the current under-19 captain. Olinda Chare, Beloved Biza, Lindo Koshe Mabera, Kudzai Chigora. I mean, there are so many. There are so many now youngsters that have been infused into the setup, slowly being given debuts at the national team level. Even in the past, USA women's tour to Zimbabwe, we had 4 debutants coming in and being given the opportunity to ply their trade. So has Zimbabwe not done enough there, Brian?
No, they're trying, but you know, with sports, enough is
not enough.
It's not enough. You know, you still need to go that extra mile. Yes, they're trying, and we would say kudos to them, and they've done actually a decent job on that. But they need to increase that player base, because if you look at just at schoolboy level, there's the St. George's Cabs T20 and there's the Ramslam T20. But for the girls, there's nothing like that. So maybe either right now, if the numbers are not that much, either just have maybe 3 or 4 girls who's playing concurrently when the Cabs T20 happens. You know, we need to get the girls playing in schools, you know, because currently there's nothing like that for them. Like the player base for school level is, we would say it's non-existent for the girls at school level.
Wow, all right. There'll be many that may want to argue that point, but nonetheless, that is what he has said. What have you said? That's what I would want to hear in terms of your comments concerning this higher pool base, a grassroots development program which is robust and which is national, in order to be able to pick youngsters from everywhere around the country, create more of these Kelly Ndlovu, Beloved Biza stories that will obviously take cricket to the next level. But there was something else that you mentioned, Sydney, whilst we were off air, and that's the issue of, the tour schedule itself is going to be heavily demanding.
It's going to be heavily demanding, and expect injuries. There's no way around that, and that's why we need to have a bigger pool base, not just the youngsters that you've mentioned. Of course, it's fine, but we need to do more, because at the end of the day, trust me, there are going to be injuries, and who's going to be filling in those positions? You know, cricket is highly demanding physically. You have your calf strains, you have your lower back pains because of the bowling, because of the batting, and we also need to invest more in the conditioning side. I feel like just in general, the Zimbabwean sports space, we've neglected the sports psychology part of it. We've neglected the fitness and the conditioning. We also need to invest in that so that we can be able to have fitter players, not just physically but also psychologically.
Definitely. Well, I think that has been a big argument on
That's sports science. Sports science in general.
science
in
in
an
general.
umbrella.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, and we will continuously talk about that. But we wish, obviously, our women's cricket side all the best for this upcoming 4-year cycle. That they'll be able to upset some giants, and that they'll be able to unearth more and more talent that will take them to the next level. But in any case, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be taking a look at the European leagues around Europe. What happened? Well, Man United drew. Liverpool won. Some will say, who cares? Well, we care. See you on the other side. Alrighty then. So, I love that saying. So let's get straight into our European, league setup and what happened in terms of football over the weekend. We start off, obviously, with the most famous league. May not be the best. People argue around that. I don't even know why. But anyway, the most famous league, that's the Premier League, and Manchester United against Chelsea. Any surprises there, Brian?
To be honest, that game was a big yawn. It didn't live up to the billing. But given that Chelsea had been on they had a bit of form and they were on a bit of a run. They've been doing better. I expected a bit of quality for them, but they didn't show up. I would actually say that Man U actually played above people's expectations. Because but it was not the case.
We refused to die.
But on the day, it looked like both teams were a bit cagey. They're afraid of each other. No one really went for it.
Yeah, nobody went for it, and quite a number of chances missed. Garnacho was a criminal when it came to that particular match. Rashford hitting the post, same Noni Madueke heading onto the post, all this and that.
It was a nonsense match. Absolute nonsense, absolute garbage.
Whatever.
Like what the British says. I mean, it was just boring. Like they wasted our time. We expected more. At least, look, I remember Bruno Fernandes in front of the post. He actually cleared the ball instead of shooting. That was embarrassing. I mean, there were some incidents that I thought, I just thought to myself, I asked myself a question: are these teams professional teams? It was just poor. I mean, poor to watch.
Yeah, they lost the ball a lot of times. Even the pundits on TV, they said they don't look like professional players. They cannot string a lot of passes, but yet they're professional players. It was really all over.
It was an embarrassing match.
But I mean, look, there's a whole lot, obviously, that happens behind the scenes. I think Roy Keane has come out point blankly and said most of the players at Manchester United are bang average. Others have come out and said that this Chelsea squad bloated with a lot of average and not necessarily enough quality and class. And I think maybe for Chelsea, you can pick on one or two. The likes of Cole Palmer, is a gem. The likes of Moses Caicedo is now seemingly coming into his own now. Enzo Fernandez, for all the hype and the 100 and chakuti million that was spent on him,
is still below par.
He's still below par. He's still struggling and may actually need to either go on loan or be sold by the time the season comes to an end. But let's go over to you guys. Liverpool comeback victory against a very, very slippery Brighton and Hove side. Slot has put some level of we call it in Shona chigingiri in that Liverpool side.
Yeah, to be honest, what really took Liverpool on the day was experience, and you saw the quality from Gakpo and Salah. And before Liverpool, when Liverpool were trailing 1-0, if you notice, Liverpool had a 20-minute spell before they equalized and taken the lead. They had a serious spell where they were really pushing hard to the extent that eventually Brighton cracked. But after that spell, you notice they sit back again, meaning they've got good game management. The 3 points are now in the bag. Let's just see you off the game. Let's not be too fancy. Let's not look for another goal. Let's not be too greedy. All we want is 3 points and stay in the race.
All right. Well, we want to turn away quickly from Liverpool, and we want to talk about the two losses over the weekend. Man City lost, Arsenal lost. For Arsenal, is this effectively over for their title contention?
You know, they call Arsenal title pretenders, and they've been living. You know, they've been disappointing us when it comes to living to that expectation. Look, Arsenal. Look, I think I think Arsenal, they're really missing Odegaard.
Agreed.
You know, his leadership, and you know, he's a game breaker. He's someone who can come up with something special, and for them to secure a point or those precious 3 points. And I think they are really missing him. And as of Manchester City, look, I think it has got to do with fatigue, and they're also missing the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and obviously Rodri, who has been controversially awarded the Ballon d'Or. We have to talk about that. But those are the two players that they look up to when it comes to these different scenarios. But I feel like Bournemouth, they did really well just to get that early goal and settle Manchester City a bit. And then when Manchester City, they were looking to look for that equalizer once again. And, you know, they were stunned. So I think they are really missing the services of De Bruyne and the controversially awarded Ballon d'Or player of the year.
Did you want Vinicius to win it?
Well, Vinicius, look, I mean, Vinicius was just exceptional to watch. Not to take away anything from Rodri. Rodri has been exceptional, but his contribution to Spain, I mean, he was just like an average player there, except for that goal that he scored against I believe it was
I don't know.
That other team, it was but he wasn't. Yes, he was outstanding for Manchester City. But can we say that he was really exciting to watch? I don't think so.
Oh well,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
Vinny was better.
Yeah, Vinny was better. In actual fact, look, if they didn't want to give Vinny, in my opinion, they should have given Lautaro Martinez, who also had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, true.
With Inter Milan, because he won the Copa America with Argentina. He won the Scudetto with Inter Milan. He won, I believe it was the Coppa Italia as well with Inter Milan. He scored 35 goals and he had 8 assists. I mean, hey, what a season this guy has had. What does he have to do? Those guys are good. Lewandowski look under 50 and no, it was an individual performance.
And it was COVID, you know. Ballon d'Or has always been biased.
Ballon d'Or.
It's a balloon. Yeah.
But in any case, so let's quickly go over to Italy now. Italy, Antonio Conte was untouchable from the beginning of the season, but he got hammered by Ademola Lookman. 3-0. They got hammered by Atalanta there. Is this also as well a sign of the times?
Well, it could be the sign of the times. You know, when it comes to the Serie A, it's a league that a few people they really focus on to. But look, they've managed to. I think in the past 2-3 seasons, they've managed to produce a team that played in the UEFA Champions League final against Manchester City. But I mean, I believe they're cooking. They're cooking something there in the Serie A, and I believe that this season, if you're not careful, we'll see a UEFA Champions League winner from that league.
Italy.
Oh yes, from Italy.
I don't think so.
But look,
I think it's either Spain or an English team.
All right, here's my argument for that one. I think Italy has been knocking on the door slowly but surely. That final against Manchester City was a sign that Italian football has returned.
Yeah.
All right. Inter Milan are a well-oiled machine under Simone Inzaghi. Now with Napoli back in the thick of things, and Antonio Conte, we know what he can do in cup competitions. He can make it basically all of the way.
He's a money game player.
He's a money game player. And somehow, some way, he has activated the Scott McTominay to be able to link up with Romelu Lukaku. And we know Lukaku can score for days. But I believe he's also an underrated striker. You do know that he's got more than 400 goals now.
Wow.
He's now got more than.
He misses a lot of chances and he scores a lot of goals.
You know,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. So I think he's done pretty well there. And then when you look at Juventus, Juventus is now a beast under Thiago Motta and Dusan Vlahovic. How did we not buy that guy as Man United?
Bad recruitment.
Yeah. But Dusan Vlahovic is doing phenomenal. I mean, the likes of Weston McKennie. Akambokudza kuti ku USA kune bhora ndiani. Hero ka bhora riri kubuda. Weston McKennie is playing some phenomenal football. And they've got this youngster as well. I don't know if he's Polish or what. It's called Yildiz. Oh, quality youngster. And he pitched up in that match against Inter Milan, which they ended in a 4-4 draw, which was a thriller. I believe it was there last week. But so I think, you know,
The old lady is back.
The old lady is back. I think Italy is knocking. Juventus is right in there with a chance. Inter Milan in there with a chance. Atalanta ndoyo ingangorambewo futi iriko. AC Milan.
Atlanta are last year's Europa winners. So.
Yeah.
Saka imboisi inonzi AC Milan aiyoya. The Rosaneri is
Radandare.
But in any case, that is our roundup of what happened in terms of European football and our thoughts. Once again, always a pleasure to be bringing you a Sports Extra every single week, and you can always watch out for the new episode, usually Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, where we'll be able to dish out all of our thoughts and analysis on sporting news. Remember, we're not here to give you the scores. We know you know the scores, but we're here to give you the thoughts and the analysis. And you can also participate by liking, by commenting, by sharing, and by subscribing on all of our social media platforms. It leaves me to thank Sydney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And of course, Brian Matamba.
Thank you, Rimbo.
All right. And that's it for Sports Extra for this week. Until next week, cheerio.